Well, I'm not sure I'd get a job as an upholsterer, but I think that's looking all right. Hello and welcome back to my garage and the Morris Mine 1000. In this video I'm going to be completing the dash refresh, so that is going to be replacing the glove box inserts and completing a refresh of the parcel shelf and the heater duct as well. Just to recap the last video, I'd started the work, I had resprayed the dashboard, I had decided that from information that I was given on chassis numbers that the earlier type of insert was correct, and I had started to refurbish the doors for the front as well. But towards the end I had realised this car should have had the slightly later insert that sits slightly proud with the chrome surround. Package just arrived from Newton Commercial, so let's have a look inside. This is going to be our new glove box inserts, so I'll get these unwrapped and we'll take a look and get these fitted. First look, they seem good quality. First thing I do notice is the inside of this is much lighter than the ones that are in the car as well. Look at the colour difference in that. Got a much lighter colour, which again is going to go more with the interior that we've got here. So yeah, let's get these old ones out and get these new ones in. So the new glove box inserts are now in place. Funny enough, I still had the same issue with these in terms of the fitment, and I also had the same problem of the holes not lining up. So again, it came with 1, 2, 3 holes, but the holes in my dash are either side. On the top, I actually managed to use one of the holes that was pre-drilled. But again, look, there's another hole there and another hole there that my dash doesn't have. I guess the final decision to be made is, do I repair this, try and keep it in as original, but obviously it's in a quite sorry state, or do I get a black one and then cover it? The same goes with the parcel shelf as well. Again, it was replaced probably about 30 years ago. Do I again spend a bit more money and get a new parcel shelf, or do I try and make this one good and cover it? Cleaned up both of these surrounds now. I don't know how well it comes up on camera, but you can see that they are sort of probably a creamy grey, I would say. Probably the best way of describing it. Then this is the millboard, the heater shroud, cowl, whatever you like to call it, which is a bit more beige, a little bit more on the browny side, but still a bit of a grey tinge to it as well. So what I've done is I've been around and got some material samples, some from a company called Rivet and another couple from Newton Commercial. So I've basically got to work my way through and see which these I like. I've got my old shelf here. It wasn't in bad state, so all I've done is just sprayed a bit of water on it, dampen it down a bit, and put some heavy blocks on it, which seems to have worked, seems to have straightened it out nicely. With regards to the heater covering, I've actually ordered a new one from ESM, which has come next day. Fantastic, as usual. So while we've got everything apart, then might as well give everything a bit of a clean up. So this is the warm air deflector plate. So I'm going to start with some 180 paper and then give it a clean and try and flatten it down with some 360. Then I'll give it 3 or 4 coats of primer, and then I'll flatten it again with either 600 or 800 grade paper, 4 or 5 coats of top coat, and after it's had a good time to dry, then I'll flatten it down with some 1200 and then try and polish it up with some cutting compound and then polish towards the end. So the heater deflector shield now has had a fresh coat of paint and is looking a lot better than it did before. This is obviously got to be fitted inside the heater cowl, or not really sure what the proper name is for it. This is the new one. Now, one thing I've noticed is the 2 holes here, they're fixed into this position here, and those holes are actually missing on here. So I'm going to have to drill a couple of holes there, measure them all up, get those in, and then that can be then fitted. After much deliberation, I have finally made a decision on the material. I am going to go with this one from Rivet, and it is the Master 403 Calm. So that's for the covered areas. And then for the painted areas, I am going to try and match that as closely as I can with RAL 1013 Oyster White. So this is my original parcel shelf. I'm just going to give it a bit of a brush down. and give it a coat of this. This is what has been recommended to me, some Zinza all coat. So it's exterior satin, not sure, but apparently it goes on to everything, and that's mixed to this RAL 1013 Oyster White. So I'm going to start with a watered down coat first. Hopefully that will start soaking in just a little bit, not too much water, because otherwise everything will separate, and then I'll go over with 1 or 2 full coats. And this is just on the underside. So while we wait for the shelf to dry, we can unwrap this, which is our material delivery. Lots of wrapping, but it's in there. There we go. So let's get that unwrapped. I think that's going to go quite nicely in the Morris there. Almost Old English white, isn't it? I've also got the contact adhesive, which I'm now going to spray onto the back of the shelf and then stick that in place with a heavy weight on it. But actually I'm fairly pleased with the way that's come out. So that's the covered side, and then the underside, which is painted as well. Next thing to do now is the heater shroud itself. I have cut in a piece there, just give it a try. I'll do a separate piece on the front, and I'm just going to do a piece on the side. Now the other thing I've noticed is that there are 2 holes here. I believe off the top of this there should be a metal bracket. Now I kind of recall my car having this some years ago, but it's no longer there, and my original shroud has ripped here, so I'm assuming that the piece of metal that was there has ripped it. So I need to find out if the car should have it, what its actual purpose was. I think it may have been just to give extra support, sort of hang it up, but looking in the dash there's nowhere to put it, so warrants further investigation. Well, I'm not sure I'd get a job as an upholsterer, but I think that's looking alright. So one of the next jobs is to recreate the holes where the either the split rivets go or the nut and bolts go, and so for that I'm just using a leather hole punch. So the next stage is to cover the bar and get a crash barrier. Now for that, the material sits along the section where the holes are, and then actually comes up onto this next part. I'll put some contact adhesive there in a sec. We then align with our holes, and that gets fitted with the bifurcated rivets, and I'm sure I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm using the 1/2 inch bifurcated. No, I'm sure that's still wrong. Anyway, and they come up through there. We can then fold that back. For the crash pad itself, I'm just using a piece of 15mm copper pipe insulation. That then slots over the lip on our shelf, and then the material gets wrapped around there and then gets trimmed. So that's the next stage. I hope that makes sense. So I've got all these screw heads and nuts painted up. They're the ones that hold on these retaining bars, which I have already painted. That of course then holds in place the heater cowl to the shelf. So the next part now is to install the heater deflector plate that we painted up earlier into the shroud. So back to my bifurcated, you know what I mean. Right, let's get this into that shelf. Well, aside from a good clean up, it's ready to go back into the car. So these split pins are a bit of a pig. I've got to say, over that side, it's behind the fuel pump. I don't know if you can just see up there, they are the split pins.
So before the big reveal, let's just remind ourselves of what the dash looked like before we started.
Here we go, everything now is in place. Now it's by no means perfect, but gotta say, I am quite chuffed with that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up down there. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'm sure I'll be coming back with more bits and pieces on the Miner. But once again, thanks for watching. Until next time, cheerio.